As a self-proclaimed roguelike virtuoso, Hyperlight Breaker has been on my radar for quite a while. It's an open-world hack-and-slash roguelike that revolves around exploration, enhancing your character's abilities, and defeating mini-bosses in order to reach the final big, bad, and horrifying Abyss King. It's deep, it's fast, and most importantly, it's absolutely brutal. But I'm always looking for a challenge. So when Heart Machine contacted me and asked me if I wanted to try their game, I knew it was yet again time to test my roguelike skills. The rules are simple. I have 5 tries to beat a run. From the start, with no meta progression unlocked and going in completely blind. Obviously, this was going to be hard, but I'm hard too. As in tough. Thank you, Heart Machine, for sponsoring this video. Now let's dive into it. Like in every roguelike challenge, my first attempt is about getting a hang for the mechanics in the first place. And boy, is there a lot of mechanics. Felt like I was at a goddamn Pep Boys. But we all know the classic saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single tutorial. I think Aristotle said that one. Your main source of damage is a melee weapon, which comes equipped with a basic combo alongside a special move and a charge attack. Your breaker can also perform a flash step, which is a blink attack to close the distance against far-off opponents, which is a very necessary addition because boy are there a lot of opponents. Alongside your weapon, you also get a gun you can use to fire at enemies from a distance, but ammo is sparse, so you'll be using it kind of sparingly. There's also a grenade which deals a ton of damage, but you have to charge it by attacking foes so you can't spam it. And most importantly, while also being most difficult, is this game's use of a parry, which allows you to block attacks and stun enemies if you time it correctly. For mobility, there's a dash, a jump, a double jump, and of course a hoverboard for style points. Sometimes you can do tricks on it. I never found out how, but whenever it happened, I would hear the Tony Hawk special move sound in my brain. And that's basically all we gotta know for navigating the character. Since I'm a total alpha male and not restricted to the idea of needing knowledge for anything, I dive into the overgrowth to experience our first run. The game is nice enough to give us a tutorial as a loading screen, so basically, you have to go around the map and collect these things called prisms. With prisms, you can unlock the gates to the 3 crowns, aka the 3 mini-bosses in the world, which then open the path to the Abyss King. You basically run around the overgrowth and find items in order to get stronger so that when you face the mini-bosses, you don't get your torso ripped off the rest of your body. So for our first run, that's what I tried to do. I slayed my first big group of enemies and found a melee weapon which has chain lightning. It also had a couple of other things, but I was too stupid to use them effectively. Then we decided to go for our first ever prism. And this was my first time being humbled by this game. The enemies swarmed me and attacked me from the front and the back, and even the up and the down. It was as if all my haters threw a slumber party and I showed up uninvited. I also ran into an exploding barrel, cause I'm a gosh darn genius. And after a hard-fought battle, there was only one boss enemy left. He shot lasers, sometimes shot even more lasers, and in a surprise twist of fate, carpet bombed me? And just like that, we lost one of our 5 lives. But we were gonna leave this stronger. For our second run, we decided to be a lot more effective with our time, for a good reason. This is the world tier meter. The more you explore and the more enemies you fight, the harder the world becomes. To make sure that just because you're good doesn't mean the enemies can't be gooder. Realizing this, I decided to go for a prism right off the bat. I was a lot more confident in my movement and dodging, but the mini-boss here was a dashing wolf that can shoot spiky balls as he dashes and breathe fire. And after yet another incredibly hard battle, we are murdered at our first prism again, knocking us down to our final 3 lives. At this point, I'm starting to feel like that image of Snoopy all beat up. Not only was I not beating the main boss, I couldn't even beat up the guys holding the keys to fight that guy's lackeys. I'm not even being killed by the mini-bosses. These are like micro bosses. On our third run, I decided to be a lot more calculated and actually farm everything I see on the map. I also finally tried to practice my parry, but the timing on it is so tight. I fought a bunch of enemies and actually tried using my gun this time. Then I climbed this weird tower thing because the map said there was a prism on it, and for some reason, it was. Just there. Didn't even have to kill a guy to get it. Making this attempt the furthest I've gotten in a run. Not gonna celebrate too hard though, because this accomplishment is about as good as getting to the front of Silent Hill. You ain't even getting yet. As you run around the map, defeat enemies, and collect items, you could spend some of the main currency at shrines in order to level up your character. Level ups don't only make you stronger and increase every stat, but they also give you a random enhancement. I chose Blood Battery because it would allow me to shoot my gun a little bit more. Then I headed to our next prism and had to actually fight a boss. The big funny thing about this guy is instead of shooting a bunch of bullets in a rapid fire way, he shoots them all at once. And if you're standing right in front of him when he does so, you will feel them all at once. With 3 of our 5 lives consumed, I feel like I've learned 1,000 lessons and only got 2 steps further. But I'm not the type to get discouraged, because in my life, I've only ever failed at things that I didn't succeed at. For our 4th run, we beeline to the first prism we see, hoping to God that there is no boss. After defeating this empowered wolf, we find a chest that has a key, and with it we open a building that gives us our 2nd prism ever. It looks like things were finally looking up. We defeat a lot more enemies, and honestly, I'm playing a lot better at this point, but eventually I get swarmed by what appears to be the entire state of North Dakota. And no matter how hard I try, brute forcing my current gameplay just isn't gonna work. With my final extra life gone, I had to take a good hard look in the mirror and realize what I've been doing wrong this entire time. And as much as I want to sit there and say I've been making a very short list of mistakes, that would be lying, and I do not lie. Our first major mistake is that I'm not really using my gun at all, or at least not in the situations where it would matter. A few well-timed shots would thin the herd and help me not become a victim to space gang violence. Don't worry, nobody is in your room, I just ran into my microphone. Another massive sin is that I'm not using my grenade at all. The grenade actually hurts a ton, and in moments like this one right here, I could have separated this group from each other and also from themselves, because I would have blown their limbs off. And my most important mistake of all is my inability to use the parry. Parries are not only overpowered because they can stagger enemies, they also heal you. And for the tryhards out there who have played a fighting game, you can't dash cancel out of your attacks. However, you can parry cancel out of everything, which explains why this game is so difficult, because your main line of defense is timing your parry again and again. Knowing what we had to change, we started our 5th and final run. We fight our first baby mob of enemies and I remember to use my gun. Then we immediately find an empowered frag grenade. Then we head to another weak mob, which is relatively uneventful, but then this happens. Our first perfect parry. And from this point on, I felt like I unlocked Ultra Instinct. To quote a very famous line from a very famous book, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." And to misquote another famous line from another very famous book, "They have no mouths and they must scream." We continue onward with our journey and then just straight up find like a raw prism just sitting there on like a cliff. Hey, I'm not gonna look this gift horse in the mouth. We fight another massive wave of enemies and then use our currency to level up our character. We continue resource hunting and fighting around the map, and here's where I tell you about a random bonus mechanic. In the shrines in which you can level up your character, you can also use them to extract yourself from the overgrowth, so that you can deposit all of the things you found like an extraction shooter, and also replenish all of your life and medkits. You have medkits in this game, I forgot to tell you. We climb atop this massive tower and get incredibly lucky again, finding our second prism, which is not only the furthest we've ever gotten, but also the first time we were allowed to challenge a crown. We were now allowed to challenge our first actual boss fight. And though this did sound a little scary, I was feeling kinda good. We enter the derelict cathedral and there he is, a giant wolfman with a sword. Hilariously, the first attack he does is a red attack, which you literally cannot dodge. Thankfully, we learned how to parry before this. His main combo is 2 sideways strikes that you can parry back to back in order to heal yourself. Then he slams the ground and makes you jump over it, but the tricky bastard also throws out another red attack that you have to parry mid-air. I wail on him and remember to use my grenade thanks to our training, and I even managed to parry his combo and weave attacks in between it. He does his ground slam into red attack bait move again, and this time I fall for it, taking 30 damage. Then he turns the place into a rave and shoots out more projectiles than a goddamn world war. We both end up being 1 tap away towards the end of the fight, and I have to play this part in slow motion because it's absolute cinema. He lands a power wave on me which deals 18 damage, meaning if this next one hit, I would have died. Then he throws another one which I jumped over in a panic. I smack him in the head and then he cocks back his sword. I'm pretty sure this shot would have killed me, but luckily I parried it thanks to our training. Then he swings again and deals 15 damage. He swings again and at this point I should die, but I had a piece of armor which regenerated 10 HP. And finally, we just wail on each other and play chicken, knowing the next big blow would decide the match. And whether it be luck or skill, we managed to defeat our first crown. And unfortunately, that's where this story ends, because shortly after this, I walked outside and was shot 57 times. Sure, we weren't able to beat the final boss. Hell, we didn't even get close. But what we did win is our sense of adventure, because this game has so much content that we haven't seen yet, including more crowns, entirely new biomes, new weapons, new characters, and new ways to get your skull removed out of your head. I'm excited to play this game some more with some friends because it is co-op, and I'm sure the chaos is going to be a lot easier to handle when I have a big dumb idiot yelling at me on Discord. Thank you so much, Heart Machine, for sponsoring the video. I had a blast playing your game. It's very hard, like significantly harder than I thought it was gonna be, but I'm gonna get my lick back. Go ahead and check this game out from my link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.